In the final chaotic months of World War II, when Germany was collapsing and its propaganda machine was lying louder than ever, thousands of female German POWs were marched into American custody with terror in their eyes. Because Joseph Goebbels had spent years poisoning their minds with twisted stories that American soldiers were savages, men who would assault them, infect them with syphilis, and discard them like animals. So when trucks loaded with frightened young women rolled into the U.S. camps in France and later in the States, many were shaking, refusing food, covering their faces, and whispering prayers, expecting the moment the guards would drag them away. But instead, what they saw shattered everything they had been taught, because the American guards didn't even come near them without permission, keeping a respectful distance as if aware of their fear, speaking softly, offering blankets and water, and looking more confused than threatening. While the camp doctors, who had been warned that these women were terrified of disease, patiently explained through interpreters that no one would lay a hand on them during examinations unless they agreed. At first, the POW women refused everything, refusing medical checks because they expected infection, refusing meals because they thought the food would drug them, refusing even to step forward for roll call because many believed any interaction meant assault. Yet day after day, the same routine continued. American soldiers placing trays of food on tables and stepping back, allowing the women to approach without being watched, the guards turning their backs when the women changed clothes, and the chaplains offering them reading materials, even German Bibles, without expecting anything in return. Slowly, the fear began to melt, and the women would whisper among themselves, astonished that after everything Germany had told them, these monsters behaved with more decency than some officers of their own army ever had. One woman later wrote in her diary that the moment she realized the propaganda was a lie wasn't a dramatic event, but a quiet morning when an American guard, barely older than she was, placed a cup of warm cocoa near her tent and walked away without even looking at her. She said she had never felt such humiliation for believing the lies, nor such relief for discovering the truth. Over time, doctors earned their trust, shaving their matted hair for hygiene, treating infections and malnutrition, but always with female nurses present, always with the guards standing outside the door. Many POWs cried during these moments because they had expected brutality, not kindness. And some could not understand why the Americans would treat the enemy like human beings. The truth was simple. U.S. POW policy, backed by the Geneva Convention, demanded humane treatment, and most American soldiers, many of them farm boys, students, or factory workers, had no desire to harm anyone, least of all frightened girls who had been lied to their whole lives. By the time the war ended and the women were processed for release, their letters and memoirs described the camps as places of safety rather than fear, and some even referred to the guards as angels compared to the brutality they had witnessed under Nazi rule. Years later, historians would uncover how deep the propaganda had run and how shocked these women truly were when they discovered that the Americans they had been taught to fear didn't even touch them, didn't shout at them, didn't punish them, but instead gave them the first sense of dignity they had felt in years, turning what was supposed to be their darkest nightmare into a painful yet transformative moment that revealed how propaganda can blind, how war destroys trust, and how simple human decency can dismantle the biggest lies built by dictators.